as leaders, it's our job for our people to show up every day and be their best selves. Like our job is to cultivate these environments where our players feel like they can be celebrated for being who they truly and genuinely are.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Centennial Conference Corner. My name is Amber Thomas, and today I'm joined by head men's basketball coach for Gettysburg College, BJ Dunne. How are you doing today, Coach?
Doing great. I appreciate you having me on, Amber.
Thanks for joining me. So you're returning sophomore guard Carl Shaler, who became the second Bullet in history to claim the CC Rookie of the Year award. Who else should we watch out for this season?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We're definitely excited about our returning group. We bring back a lot of guys. We certainly miss first team All-League Avery Close, who finished off, a really great career for us last year. I think, for us, we have a lot of focus just on the team and not so much individuals. And we really try to preach to our guys, every day that, we're going to compete with our schemes, but you win with our people. And, everybody really matters. And, unfortunately for us, we've been dealt with the injury bug a little bit, and we're kind of working our way through that. And we've had to have some other guys step up and kind of give us, everything that they have. And I think when you have that mentality, you don't really solely rely on individuals as much. But I think, Carl's done a really good job coming in as a sophomore with high expectations and really trying to corral and lead our group and get us organized. And I think Ryan McEwen is another guy who he led the league in blocks last year, and he was fifth in the country in block shots. So I think he's an elite defensive player that we're happy to have him back off of coming back from an injury. And then Jordan Stafford, I would say, would be another guy who really did an incredible job of transforming his game and taking it to the next level. And then there's a handful of other guys that, we're excited about when we're full strength to really see them really come into their own.
So you all have had an opportunity to kind of shake off the rust. You all have a couple games under your belt. What is your preferred style of play for this year's team? And have you all developed a team identity yet?
Yeah, I think we're still trying to grow, our identity and really figure out, who this group is. I think, last year we talked a lot about what we were able to do was pretty easy. I think you're picked to finish seventh, in a preseason poll. You're playing 6 freshmen, 2 sophomores, and a senior. I think we surprised a lot of people outside of our circle, and you're able to finish third and win a lot of close games, and kind of have that like underdog mentality. I think this year, I think our guys came in as we did. You have some high expectations. You bring a lot of guys back. I think our guys worked really hard in the offseason, the spring, the summer, that carried into what they did in the weight room and conditioning in the fall. And then we had a really good month of prep, before our first couple of games. And, unfortunately for us, like I mentioned, we've kind of gone through some different lineups with injuries. We've seen some different defenses. I think, we're still trying to figure out who we are and what we want to look like, on both ends of the ball. And I think when you haven't had that just consistent lineup early, I think, we're kind of we're trying to figure that piece out right now. But I think as we get healthy and we get our guys back, we're excited about what this group can potentially look like and accomplish. And I think, we want to play, defensively. We want to be physical. We want to be aggressive. We want to make things really difficult for our opponent every single possession. I think rebounding is one of our strengths, and obviously the shot blocking and the rim protection. And I think our guys have done a good job of really buying in on that end of the floor. We're limiting, opponents to we're holding them below 60 points a game. We're pretty, again, physical there. And then I think offensively, we'd like us to get a little more free flowing, increase our pace. I think we have some pretty good dynamic guards that can get downhill. We want to start to see kind of that thing go in a little bit. And then, now that, we have Ryan back really starting to play inside. And I think Rasul has has really emerged too as a guy we can throw the ball in on the block and he can go get us a bucket. So I think that's kind of what we're looking for, on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. So moving on to kind of like off the court, you are involved in numerous organizations like Berg Allies, the National Association of Basketball Coaches Committee for Racial Reconciliation. I know you've done some work with the Long Talk, and now you're Gettysburg's Athletics Diversity and Inclusion Designee. You've done some great inclusion work. What was your introduction into the space? And why would you say the intersection of inclusion and sport is so important?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think just, my introduction really to feeling empowered and using my platform, speaking up and taking action, came after the murder of George Floyd. I think, I had a player on my team who asked me a very poignant and direct question, just like, where do you stand? Like, we need to know where you stand. And I think, you have a lot of thoughts, you have a lot of emotions and feelings. And I think it was really up until then that I was like, well, I'm in a position where as a leader, my guys, this is important that they know where I stand on these topics. And they're going to look to me. And I think it was then that I felt like, all right, like something has to be done, not, within our program, within campus and our community in Gettysburg. And then, I wanted to get involved nationally too. And, I've been really thankful to be part of some of those committees and learn a great deal and continue to be educated and specifically just on our country's past and how I can, again, like continue to use my platform. And I think the biggest thing of why this is so important to me, I think, as leaders, it's our job for our people to show up every day and be their best selves. Like, our job is to cultivate these environments where our players feel like they can be celebrated for being who they truly and genuinely are. And if that's like our number one priority as a leader, like, we should be talking about inclusion and belonging every single day. And I think what's so like beautiful and, with athletic teams is you have so much diversity in your locker room. You have diversity of race, you have diversity of thought and religion and socioeconomic background, sexual orientation. And I think you have all these players that have all these like incredible stories and journeys that are all now working together to, for this one common goal. And I think, again, like, as a leader, like, you got to make sure that all those people, for us, it's 20 in your locker room, can show up every day and can really like tell their story. And the players that sit next to them and compete with them, like, they don't, they want to hear about it. They want to have that empathy for them. And I think it just makes for, a more inclusive environment. And, I think one of the proudest moments for me, or just a proud thing that I am with our team, is I think our team has done a phenomenal job with the inclusion and belonging piece and being able to articulate how they feel about those topics and being leaders like in our community and speaking out. And it just, I think off the court, it's one of those things where it's like, man, like, you walk around campus and like people compliment you about, your players and their ability to do those things. It's been impressive.
So prior to your time at Gettysburg as the head coach at Vassar College, you became the youngest head coach in NCAA at all levels. And at the time, you were named the Under Armour 30 Under 30 team. You're still young in your career, but how have you seen the game of basketball evolve and change from your time as a player to now being a head coach?
I think, there's been a couple differences. One, I think, the game has definitely evolved. I think, when I was playing, it was very much quick hits. Threes were available, but they weren't always encouraged. I think now it's a lot of, we're getting layups and we're shooting open threes. I think you see some players in the NBA, I think, have been able to grow that part of the game, like, Steph and Clay. I also think, players play all year round. Like, they play a lot more than we ever played. I think when I was playing AAU in high school, there was only like 4 or 5 like major events, and now there's something like every single weekend. So I think, they're getting a lot of basketball, whether that's, a good or a bad thing. They're playing a ton before they even like get to you. And then I just think the social media piece, like I'm not that old, but there was no Instagram, there's no Twitter, no Snapchat. There's none of that when I was in college. So I think just like the access that, they have to just like a lot of different, voices and content is there. And I think, being a college student athlete right now is challenging. Like there's a lot of noise that you have to sift through and be confident in who you are. Right. And then I think the last thing that, I'll say, me and my teammates always joke about this, is like, man, these kids are way more athletic than we ever were. I think Division III has just gotten so much better. I think, when I was playing, there was, I think there was obviously really, really strong programs. I think now there's so much parity because of just, all these events, and, there's more recruiting and there's more positions available. There's so many more full-time assistants, and people are out on the road. And now, the emails and the DMing that you can do on social media, and just like access to highlight tapes. It's just, recruiting is so much more accessible than it was, 15, 16 years ago when I was a senior in high school. I think, that would be, a couple of the major differences that I've seen.
Yeah, I'm excited for not just the future of D3 basketball, but D3 sports overall. Like everything that you hit, I'm just like, yes.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna make every game so much better.
Oh my God. And you just like look at the talent. Like you have so many, like even in our Centennial, like there's scholarship, level players who had scholarships that are playing, competing at schools in the conference. I think it's impressive. There's more notoriety around Division III now. And I think Division III has done an incredible job, marketing itself. And it's the best it's ever been. It's really fun to be a part of.
Yeah. So before I let you go, we have to do Amber's top 5, which are
Cool.
5 random questions that I just have to know.
Yeah.
So the first one is, if you could make a men's basketball starting 5, any time period, NBA players, who would it include?
I love this question. I thought a lot about this on my drive to work today. So I'm going Steph at the 1, going Steph Curry. We need a floor spacer. I love the flair, creativity.
Okay.
The joy that he plays with. I think if he's on any team, that team's going to have a lot of joy. I'm going Kobe and Michael, finishing up the guard and wing spots. I just think you have 2 uber competitive guys that always find a way to win. Not to mention that they can really score the ball, but they're going to kind of get after you defensively. And I think on the front court, like this could be like a little out of the box, but I'm going Bill Russell and Shaq. And we're just going to be really big and we're going to be physical down there. Maybe play a little triangle on both sides of the floor with the 3 guards and the 2 posts, but I don't think anybody's stopping the Big Diesel, and Bill Russell's the ultimate winner. I'm a Boston guy. And I also love everything Russell stands for too. And I just think like that combination right there, you got a lot of championships on the floor, and I would have loved to see that 5 play.
Yeah, I think with that starting 5, I'm not really sure who will want to go against them. They'll just be mowing everyone down.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I know usually coaches, especially basketball coaches, I feel like they always have the super impactful quotes. So what's the quote that you live by?
So I have it in my office. I look at it every day. My dad introduced it to me when I was in high school. It was in my locker. It was above my bed in college. Teddy Roosevelt's "Man in the Arena" quote. I just think that quote for me just embodies everything that we do as coaches and competitors. We're like, you're in the arena, and that's all that matters, is that you're willing to give everything you have for a mighty cause. And especially I think in coaching, especially in today's age, I think everybody thinks they can do what we do. They can do our job better than us. And I think it's important that, just constantly remind yourself that it's not the critic who counts. Like, it's going to be easily to be criticized. We make a lot of decisions. We're going to be wrong, and that's part of it. But you just got to continue to pick yourself back up, get in the arena. And I share that with our guys too. Like, you're going to fail forward. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to figure it out. We're going to move forward. But like, there's those timid and cold souls that know nothing about victory because they're just standing on the sidelines and they don't know what it's like to give themselves up for that worthy cause. And so I live by that man in the arena quote.
So when you look over your career, who has been the most impactful person?
Yeah, no, I love this question. I've been really fortunate to have some pretty just incredible mentors. When I was in college, I played for two coaches who, no one likes to go through a coaching change when you're in college. But I played for 2 years each, and they both have been pretty impactful for me and just like how my vision is in terms of like what that cultural blueprint I want, for our program. And, I talk to them, every week, every couple of weeks. I've actually played my first coach, who's now the head coach at Wesleyan. We played each other twice. He's beat my butt twice. And then this winter, when we're going down to Daytona Beach, I have an opportunity to play. We're playing Bates, my alma mater. So that will be fun for me to play against Coach Furbush, who coached me for my final 2 years of college. But those two have been really impactful. And then my first 2 years as an assistant, I was at Babson, I was at Emerson College, and I had an opportunity to work for Stephen Brennan and Jim O'Brien. And they were 2 National Coach of the Year award winners. So as a 23, 24-year-old assistant, I worked for 2 guys who got the highest honor in our coaching profession. And I think from just an X's and O's, how they attack the day-to-day, how they connected, communicated with their people. I learned so much in those 2 years. And I'm so thankful for them. And then I think, when you think about mentors, we all think about people we've worked for, but I've been really lucky that I think my family has instilled just some like really strong core values for me. My dad would wake me up at 6 a.m. starting when I was 12 years old every weekend. And that was how we spent time together, just in the gym and kind of working, on my craft and trying to get better. And he just like taught me that no success happens without hard work. And you just have to show up. And then my mom is the strongest person I know. Like, she's always took care of me and my brother. And those are the 2 most important things to her, is showing up and being there for your people. And I think I've just tried to emulate that the best that I can every single day, showing up for my people, no matter what is going on in my life. And then, I'm lucky at home that my wife was a coach. She's the best coach in the house. She was an All-American lacrosse player at Gettysburg. And, I think I wouldn't be able to be all in and do what I do if it's not for her care and support. And then we have a 2-year-old who has started to like really love the game. And I think he'll never realize the impact he has on me now. But I think what's so important as a dad is wanting your son to grow up knowing that your dad stood for something, right? Like, you actually stand for something and you believe in something. And I think it's not just believing in short rolling in the middle of the floor or, boxing out and rebounding. It's, I think there's values and beliefs that I have that, as he continues to grow up, I want him to know that, I stood for that and I spoke out against that. And, I wanted to do something with my life where I could impact people every single day. And that's something that, when you go home and you're playing toys and you're hanging out with him, that, he can look at you and you can say like, this is what I believe in. And this is who I want you to look up to.
Yeah, the best cheerleader with his Gettysburg polo on. I see him all the time.
He's loving it. He loves coming in the locker room after wins and dancing with the guys. So it's a lot of fun.
So I saw that you worked with the basketball tournament. How did you get your start there? And what exactly did you do?
Yeah, so the 2020, I guess, COVID. I mean, I feel like everything is like, I feel like that 20 years ago or like yesterday. It's hard to remember, but I got a phone call from my buddy Dan Engelstad, who's head coach at Mount St. Mary's, and he used to coach in the TBT for this team, Armored Athlete, and the coach that had kind of served as the head coach was not going to be available during this bubble year. And they wanted to know if I would do it. And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, what are the parameters here? So, after taking a couple of COVID tests at home, scared driving out to Columbus, Ohio. Like, I can't pull over. I can't go into a restaurant. Like, I got to, and like, it was crazy. Like, we were bubble. Like, we were the real first bubble where like you got like 30 minutes outside every day, like gated. You know, you couldn't leave your room unless you were like with your team in a pod going to practice. Like, we were picking up meals on one floor. We were testing every day. But that's how I got my start in it. It was just an incredible experience for me, to just be around former NBA guys, professional players, to pick their brains. Like, I was lucky that I had a group that was really coachable, and allowed it to be a real collaborative effort. We won our first game. I had to coach against Joe Johnson. I don't think I'll ever forget standing there and watching him hit a fadeaway, and kind of land in me. I was like, oh my God, it's gonna be a long night. Had to win at the end there. We held ISO Joe scoreless in the fourth quarter. So I'm going down with that. And then I've been able to do it ever since. And just like the connections, the networking, but really just the basketball learning, it's been better than any conference or clinic that I could have attended, because those guys are just so bright. They have so many cool ideas. It's been fun to be able to bring that back to my group here at Gettysburg.
Yeah, it's definitely been fun to watch the TVT expand and grow.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
It's a great product, and they're going to have a soccer tournament this summer.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So, final question: favorite Centennial memory so far?
Man. So I was racking my brain on this driving over here today, because I think I have a couple. But first Centennial game in 2018, we played Franklin and Marshall here Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Big rivalry game for us. Ended up winning that game. So first, just like Centennial moment and game was a win against Franklin and Marshall, which was pretty exciting. We lost to Swarthmore here my second year by 4 points. It was a really great game. We were close. We had a couple opportunities with 2 minutes left. I think take the lead and have a chance to win when they're number one in the country. And I think that was a moment where, yes, it was a loss, but I think there's a lot of growth moments since I've been here. And that was a moment where I was like, we can do this. Like, we can compete with these teams. We lost to Swarthmore twice by a combined 80 points the year before, and now we lost by 4. And like, we can do this. Like, we're getting better. We're building this thing. This is going to happen for us here. And then I think last year, just a culmination of all of those like little moments. We're at McDaniel. We win by 3, and if we win, we're in. So we get in, and then you check the scores, and there was a couple other things that happened, and we got the 3 seed, which was our highest seed since 2011. And that was just like an incredible moment, just to see all the hard work, and really just to thank everybody. We had, our junior class, they committed when this program had won 6 games the year before. And I think just to like see how everybody really poured into what we were doing, and all that hard work led to, the 3 seed in the conference tournament. That was a pretty special feeling for that group.
Well, thanks, BJ, for joining me.
You got it. This was awesome.
Good luck on the rest of the season. Everyone, you can catch a new episode of the Centennial Conference Corner at centennial.org or on social media at Centennial Conf. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thanks, Amber. Thank you.